that is July, August and September. This has been a very ticklish issue within the parties. Disbursement of the political parties fund: UDA 144 million shillings, ODM 77 million shillings, Jubilee Party 33.7 million shillings, Wiper 18 million shillings, DAPK 7.9 million shillings, ANC 6.6 million shillings, NAK Kenya 1.8 million shillings, KANU 5.9 million shillings, MCCP 3.1 million shillings, TSP Party 2.6 million shillings, Devolution Empowerment Party 3.4 million shillings, PIC 106,829 shillings. We have also KNC 463,209 shillings. We have DP 1.3 million, PNU 1.1 million shillings, KSC 304,477 shillings. We have Ford Kenya 6.4 million shillings, Progressive Party of Kenya 788,383,000, Maendeleo Democratic Party 145,000 shillings, 525. This is courtesy of the Star. And now Treasury is mulling on scrapping or coming up with a legislative or a law that will scrap this particular political parties fund, which is bound to be another tinderbox waiting to explode from the politicians. And it's an affront to democracy, as of course, the Vice President of the Law Society of Kenya, she's putting it. Is this a way to muzzle? And what is really informing this? Because this is it from the Political Parties Act, or also is enshrined in the Constitution, especially on the funding?
Well, the architecture of our Constitution is such that to ensure fair playing ground in politics, there is an assumption that the state will fund political parties and encourage them to build to be democratic institutions. The law, the Political Parties Act, has it as a mechanism to strengthen political parties. What the Treasury is saying is not born of any study, any recommendations, or indeed any report that we know of. So to say they want to do away with this is to seem to suggest that they are cash strapped, and because they are cash strapped, they are looking for any place where they can save money. Is it all the political parties they should go to? Perhaps not. What they should be telling us is that, look, and I like something that Professor Iya was saying a little earlier. What is the cost of the executive? What is the cost of the judiciary? What is the cost of the legislature? And if you can gain, you can make savings on these structures, it leaves you with some resources for public. You know, when there was a time when in this country we had even a caveat as to how many vehicles and what size of vehicles you would use if you are cabinet secretary. We know that every time there's a presidential motorcade just getting out of State House, you are looking at 10 to 15 million shillings just operating around the person of the president. And then a retinue of cabinet secretaries following, and a retinue of other public servants, the parastatal heads and whatnot following. We have known, for example, ever since this government came into power, they told us that there was no money. But every Sunday, for example, they mobilize and they go in real droves and numbers to prayer meetings. And there's nothing wrong with prayer meetings. But for heaven's sake, prayer meetings are private, they are personal. Worship is personal, it's not a state issue. So if you're going to go there, please go at your cost, not at the public cost. So there are things we should do that should make us look a little thrifty, a little frugal, and therefore reduce our public expenditure. For the CS to say that the issue of funding political parties is unsustainable cannot go without him telling us how that decision has been arrived at, the weighing of it, the pros and cons of that decision. Otherwise, it is an affront.
But the funding has been coming in drips and drabs. If you talk to the parties, they've never actually gotten the full amount that they are owed by the exchequer. And this is not the first time they're trying to even from the previous.
It's not accountable. If the money is in the budget, disburse it. If you are not going to disburse it, say why. But because you are broke and because you want to do away with this, you don't want to start saying that it's unsustainable. Why do you say it's unsustainable? The point for me is, give us a rationale. Don't just wake up and make what we call a roadside declaration. Because a roadside declaration is one that is not informed by research and not informed by data.
But I think even the way we normally use that, a roadside is a misnomer. There's nothing like a roadside declaration. It's a broadside. It's a broadside declaration.
Senior, do you know how roadside declaration came? The president might want to say something, but when he cannot just wake up and sit down and address the cameras. Politicians like talking where people are. When I was a student in St. Mary's Yala, Moi used to come, and that's why he sacked Josephat Karanja. And it was when he saw a battery of students singing Moi, Moi, and we sang, he gave us money, we ate bread for 2 weeks until our stomach, when you eat something you're not eaten for long, too much, even you get sick. So we sang and
it's a shock therapy.
You guys, you love me. Somebody, when I was away, was trying to take over my seat. From today, Maramaja. You see? So,
and they were roadside.
Politicians, when they see people, they get excited. And that's why they declared when you pass by a market, some you see battery of people even declare you are going to give them a constituency. So they are always roadside because of the factor of politics. But now, when we bring ourselves to some reason here, I can tell you, Debal, I'm an economist. I've studied the economy of Kenya like someone who is studying for an exam. And I can tell you with a lot of confidence, Kenya have enough for everybody's need. But for everybody's greed, we don't have. And the politicians are so greedy. That I'm trying to tell you, it starts with leadership. When money is agenda number one, like in Bomas, before even sitting, they are to look for how they are going to get allowances now. I'm sure, by the way, Debali, instead of spending time in KTN, I see that journalists are given a daily allowance in Bomas, so I'm sure maybe we should cover this from Bomas. We could actually get some allowance, myself and Martin. But putting that aside...
There's some allowances, this is new.
These MPs sitting in Bomas...
For MPs, okay.
They are being paid. They are being paid by state as MPs with all the allowances.
40,000 per
But they are
city.
having allowance around 40,000 each. I'm seeing Kalonzo and Michungwa are going to take home around 1-point-something million from all this, isn't it?
So theirs is 50 for the other...
Yes, so they are getting around 30,000 shillings per day, isn't it?
40,000 shillings.
40,000 per day.
And 50,000 shillings for the co-chairs.
And can you imagine, the Mamambogas, the elderly, in our Kenya transfer program is 2,000 per month, isn't it? While somebody who has everything is getting on top 35,000 per day, isn't it? Journalists are getting around 2,500 per day, but you see, for you, you don't have transport allowance. When you drive your car there, if you drive a Gazla, before you even climb that hill to Bomas, you spend all your allowance. What I'm trying to say here is that Kenya, the main issue is equality. The inequality, which is measured in economics by Gini coefficient, is too high. Because I give you numbers here, Martin. Do you know that 2% of Kenyan entrepreneurs or businessmen control 98% of the Kenyan revenue? Like, let's say, if you go to all government spending, 2% control 98% of the Kenyan revenue. Leaving 98%, me and you, fighting over 2%. So the mamambogas who do mamambogas, the one who roast maize, the ones who ride borders, me and you who are called hustlers, they are fighting for 2% of the national GDP. With that inequality, it's bring instability, because in economics we say when there's a lot of inequality, a country tends to have a lot of instability. That's why even attracting foreigners, because I'm an economist, when you advise an investor and you realize the Gini coefficient of a country is so bad, they tend not to go there because they can sense instability. But where there's a good inequality, that country tends to be more stable. For example, if you come to Africa, a country like DRC Congo, Brazzaville, they have serious instability because there's a lot of inequality. In fact, there are people who live in a certain place that they trade in dollars. For them, they go buy something in dollars in real time. If you come to this other side of DRC Congo, before you leave where I would call the boulevard, which is a long highway in DRC, everybody there trades on dollars. If you come down here where you see the market where these women are working, here they are using local currency. So there are people who live in one country using dollars. There are people who live in another country spending in Kenya shillings. But if you come to Kenya, you see the same. That's why every rich area like Karen has got support of another slum like Kibera, which supplies to them. So even there's a wall demarcating between Karen and Kibera. You come to Langata also, people live in Langata, they have Kijiji slum. So the inequality is the problem. How can we solve this issue? For me, we can solve this issue, but the state realizing this. And economics says that money in the hand of a poor person belongs to the state. Because if you go to your home area, Martin, I don't know where it is, if you just give people 10,000 shillings in your area, those Mamboga, if you just distribute 10,000 shillings to them, by evening no one has that money. That money has bought omena, it has bought tomatoes. But if I give a rich man like you 10,000, you'll save that money, you may spend it 2 years from now. And that's why we need to start moving money from those who have to those who not so have, and the circulation in the economy will create a lot of economic activity. That's why the taxation should be reduced to allow this. So even here on the political parties fund, when you look at those parties, the parties with the biggest money belong to the richest people in the country. That's sure. The person who is the president is the richest person in all Kenya Kwanza. That's why he's the president. So money speaks. Not even brain, not even qualification, not even leadership. Money is the agenda number one in Kenya. If you go to Azimio, Raila is the richest person in Azimio. So even when people are saying Raila will not run in 2027, I'm so shocked, because unless Raila will take a gentleman to go for a date with his girlfriend and finance the date, this is very difficult. So if Kalonzo is running, the last time Kalonzo ran, he said he can raise around 7 million shillings. I don't know, it was 100 million shillings for campaign, when Raila said he can raise 7 billion. Because when these guys go to decide who is running, that's why political parties fund is important. I was in Masai land when the late Olentimama was still Olentimama. And Raila by then was being told to run for prime minister, and Raila Kalonzo should run for president. Then Olentimama stood up and said, for us in Masai, we decide differently. Then Kalonzo was told, stand up and tell us, how prepared are you to unseat a sitting president, which was Kibaki? Then Kalonzo stood up and said, yes, I have around 400 million shillings for my campaign. I think opinion poll are showing I am most preferred, isn't it? And they are saying that my looks and my face, I'm handsome, you know, all these things. Then after he stood down... That one evaded. Yes, after he sat down, Raila stood up and was asked, what do you have to unseat a sitting president? And Raila said, batteries of things, but mostly I have money, I have a followership, isn't it? I have a very, very passionate followership. He even said he has access to CIA from the US. He said he can go to any country. He talked about many things, and then he said, you're the one. And that's how, from Mr. Handsome, who was leading an opinion poll, you remember that? Immediately Raila took over. And after that discussion, Raila was the candidate. So I'm asking, in 2027, isn't it? Or if they sit, because they'll sit very late, like I told you, they should have sat by now, but they sit very late. If they sit in 2026 and said, who is running? Everyone will tell now, last time Kalonzo ran, he got 950,000 votes, isn't it? Raila last time ran and he got 6.9 million votes. In politics, just like in a relationship between you and a woman, you are as good as your last assignment. So the Kalonzo's last assignment was 950,000. Raila's last assignment was 6.9. No one will mention age there, isn't it? Because Raila amesema mzeni we? So because of that, the candidate will most likely still just be Raila Odinga, unless someone changes their mind. But what I'm urging young people, it's our time. For me, it's our time. It's our time. Let's gather as young people and also be in the ballot. Why are we waiting for these guys who are in government since 1992 to continue changing, shifting, who is in opposition, who is in government, who is in opposition, who is government, forever? We can't allow that. And I'm very clear that political parties fund, though it comes after the election, it does not help any incoming party. What are the incentives for an incoming party? Also, because before you come out with the party, you have spent around 10, 20 million shillings to become a party. Then after that, you are waiting again to run for election. Is when, if you get anything, you can get anything. But I'm surprised parties like PIC is still getting money. You know, I remember those parties when I was a very young man.
Yeah, but they have representation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the main thing here is political parties fund should not just be allocated, but what I see the structure which you give our amendment bill, we said the political parties fund, the political party liaison committee is still under register of political parties. That is not nice because it does not give independence. In fact, they have no secretariat. The secretariat is funded by the register of political parties. And because of the interference, I saw that office or register of political parties was interfering in Jubilee. This is high time to distinguish these offices, and political parties liaison committee needs to have its own secretariat with funding directly from the exchequer.
Thank you.
Because your regulator cannot be again your financier.
Indeed.
Because if they are financing you, they keep you completely disabled.
Indeed. Yeah. Right. We are pinched for time, and I just want us to pick up your headline thoughts, beginning with you, Dr. Martin Law. Looking forward, today also is a big day for UDA. It's all about housekeeping. We can see they will have 2 new deputy leaders within UDA. So lately also there has been acrimony within UDA as far as members of UDA is concerned, and them clamping on other parties. Now we have a new development also stifling the money for the political parties fund. People have been crying foul on how it is having the quest of becoming the super party. Briefly.
You know, he said it earlier on that there's nothing new under the sun. What you are seeing has been done before. What you are seeing happening in UDA happened to Kanu in 1969 or thereabout, 66 or thereabout. Kanu was
swallowed by.
It swallowed Kanu, but then it had almost how many vice presidents? The intention, of course, was to dilute Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, so there were several other vice presidents created. KANU became a big monolithic party, took us into crisis in the 70s, and then eventually it imploded. The style I see of the party leader of UDA is typical of KANU, replication of KANU. So when you say deputy party leaders, it is now tribes that you want to look at. So you want to take one deputy from maybe Coast, and then maybe from Western, and the Secretary General is from Western, so you'll distribute the deputy party leadership somewhere there, try and dangle something to Nyanza and so on. So basically, this is our way of organizing our politics. Remember, UDA is only a political party in name. It has never held elections before. Everybody that is here is on an interim basis. So we are looking forward to seeing them do elections and therefore have that done.
Right.
They are not alone. The ODM and others also need to do the elections.
Right. Thank you.
For me, the main question you ask yourself, why now? You see, politics is about timing. There's Boma's discussion going on. There are some reforms about interference, political parties and the rest. And Malala has been very busy trying to get his boys and girls moving around. What I'm sensing here is that Boma's talks is what is informing the timing for this meeting. And as a political strategist, what am I reading here? Do you know that Kenya Kwanza has to collapse so that William Ruto can form a viable vehicle for 2027? And you're right, already he's on 2027. So all these meetings about 2027. And also Raila has to achieve something with the Boma's talks about the party. And when you see Raila's Zimio people are now squabbling and not agreeing on something, it's also it's a strategy so that they disagree. Because Raila told these people he's running fast and he's running last, this one, then he'll hand over. So there must be a fallout between them then he can say you betrayed me. Remember the NASA thing, where he went to Uhuru Park to take an oath without Kalonzo. Then he had promised Kalonzo will now run after him. Then Kalonzo was seen to have not gone to Uhuru Park and betrayed him, and then Wakena Wetangula and Muzabe didn't go, so it was, you betrayed me. So then now you can't tell me we are still keeping the pact.
Right.
So the outcome here is some kind of a fallout, but Ruto has to organize UDA in a way that now it is stronger to champion going forward.
Thank you. Thank you. We want to thank you, Dr. Martin Olo, and also Professor Alfredo Willow, for taking us through the session this morning, and very incisive analysis. We were expecting Herman Manyora as well, but he was feeling rough. And also Gabriel Buduma as well. He was on Osho. He was telling me he's in traffic. And I wonder, for 3 good hours, truly you're in traffic, well, it could be true. Hey, it's since 6 o'clock, right? Thank you so very much. But we leave you with Bruce Lee. You just saw that particular quote briefly, where he says, do not pray for an easy life. If you may have it, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult life, a difficult one. If you may remember Bruce Lee, if you watch Bruce Lee, I think he was also my hero as well. And of course, experts are tougher times are lying ahead. This is what they're saying. If you may grab a copy of The Standard this morning. Thank you very much for your valued company. Enjoy your weekend, but don't go away. News Diary is up next.